stayed even beyond Ukraine. And then, of course, President Trump has not ruled out an Article 5 commitment, which means that if Ukraine is attacked, that the United States and this coalition of the willing, though, still might come to its defense.
Boston Mayor Democrat Michelle Wu refusing to comply with the DOJ's demand to put an end to its sanctuary policies.
Unlike the Trump administration, Boston follows the law. And Boston will not back down from who we are and what we stand for. We will not!
Wu made her comments yesterday, accompanied by some music.
Everybody, hoo-hoo-ya, hoo-hoo-ya.
The Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk says Wu is not following the law, and mariachi bands are not going to persuade people to accept illegal immigration, and it doesn't give her the right to violate federal law.
No, I don't think that's overly persuasive. But all kidding aside, I think the Trump administration needs to take this seriously. They need to look at every possible recourse the Department of Justice, I think, should entertain, possibly impaneling a grand jury, because you cannot have dozens of mayors and governors just say to the federal government, go pound sand. You are not a country. You are then something quite different. You're just a collection of neo-Confederate corners. We are one nation and one people, and we need to act like it.
An immigration enforcement advocacy organization says what happens in California doesn't stay in California, and 3 innocent people are dead as a result.
As we've reported on AFN, 28-year-old illegal alien Harjinder Singh, an Indian national, has been charged with 3 counts of vehicular homicide after he made an illegal U-turn on the Florida Turnpike, resulting in his trailer jackknifing and colliding with a minivan, killing 3 people. The suspect had obtained a commercial driver's license in California after entering the U.S. illegally in 2018. Ira Melman is media director for the Federation for American Immigration Reform.
First of all, illegal aliens, regardless of whether it's a commercial license or just to operate a vehicle, they should not be getting driver's licenses. And yet you have at least half of the states, more or less, that grant driver's licenses to illegal aliens without being able to do any background checks on these people, without knowing their true identities.
Melman says the federal government should step in and hold blue states accountable.
One of the things that this administration could do is withhold highway funding from states that issued driver's licenses to illegal aliens. So there is leverage that the federal government has, and it's up to them to decide if they want to use it.
I'm Chad Groening.
The federal appeals court blocks New Mexico's 7-day waiting period to buy firearms.
A panel of federal appellate judges has ruled New Mexico's 7-day waiting period on gun purchases likely infringes on citizens' Second Amendment rights, putting the law on hold pending a legal challenge. The lawsuit had been filed on behalf of 2 New Mexico residents, citing concerns about delayed access to weapons for victims of domestic violence. New Mexico's waiting period went into effect May 2024. Democratic New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham says she was disappointed with the ruling, claims it'll likely cost lives, adding waiting periods prevent impulsive acts of violence and suicide. Sue Guzman, Fox News.
More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
God is at work and He's calling His people to rise in truth. Truth Rising is a powerful new documentary from Focus on the Family and the Colson Center. See how ordinary Christians choose courage in a culture that needs truth. Watch Truth Rising starting September 5th and find out how you can be a part of the change and become an agent of restoration. Sign up at truthrising.com. That's truthrising.com.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the radio program Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Today's Wednesday, August the 20th, 2025. And thanks for listening to AFR. Joining me in studio is Ed Vitagliano. Good morning, Brother Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
And Wesley Wildmon. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
And Fred Jackson.
Good morning to you, Tim.
All right, so We appreciate everybody listening to our program each and every day. Wesley, how can people, if they want to, use all kinds of our outreach that we have here, how can they do that?
They can. You talking about the Fred and Wesley program?
Yeah, the ones y'all tried to hijack the other day. Like Ed, I didn't notice.
Like Ed,
we're shrewd. Like
we know
that.
a coup when we see
Yes,
one.
we did.
Yeah.
So how can people watch it? How can people? We got various ways people can engage, right?
We sure do. I recommend going to afr.net.
You recommend it?
Yes, I recommend it. It's nice and pretty and beautiful.
Okay.
Very functional,
you
user-friendly, all those things.
AFR.net?
Yeah, well, because there's so many different options, I was going to get to all of them, Dad, but I'm saying that I recommend this one as the easiest one to do, okay?
See, Tim asks the question and then doesn't let you answer.
No, it's All right, so AFR.net is a good place because we archive all our radio You should just see Dad's face.
He can't help himself.
I have muted myself. Go ahead.
Your face is.
I know, but my face does. That's why I'm fighting the flesh is fighting the spirit.
Let me just say, your face and Wesley, you said before the show started, I don't think we're going to get very far.
No.
I'm just going to say the face that you were making as Wesley was speaking, the face that says, I don't care what you're going to say. I have what I'm going to say in just a second is one I see all the time with my wife.
Well, for those who don't know, Wesley's my eldest son, and we will get beyond this. But at this moment, it's a little stressful. Go ahead. I'll be quiet.
AFR.net. Also, the reason that's a place to go is because we archive all of our radio programs there. So anything that you heard throughout the day, but maybe you had to get out of your car, or maybe you had to stop, you can go back listen there. Also, you can see our lineup. So we do have radio on the weekends.
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
I know a lot of people don't listen on the weekends, but we have some special programming on the weekends that you can't hear during the week, like Frank Turk and others as well. So you can see our lineup there. Also, you can download our app, but the easiest way to download the app is by going to afr.net. So that's the reason I said I recommend going there, is because you can download our app from there, and also you can connect with us in different ways there. So once you're at afr.net, you can see our Facebook, our Twitter account, all those other means of connecting with us. So go to afr.net.
It's a very good thing pointing people, and we probably don't do this enough here on this radio program. But at afr.net, we not only have the list of podcasts, the radio station lineup, but also your station finder. Okay, and then when you mention the apps, it's not just for your Apple phone, it's for your Android, it's for Roku, it's for Alexa, all those kinds of things where you can access AFR programming in a myriad of ways. And, of course, the government's paying attention to everything you do, but still, you can
I like
find it.
the use of the word myriad right there.
Myriad.
Yeah, we haven't used that enough.
I try to use words in a
Wes
myriad
has to
of
look
ways.
Yeah. Well, Fred's got a myriad of stories we need to cover, so we need to get right to it. Go ahead, Fred.
All right. Well, back about 7 or 8 days ago, when the National Weather people announced that Hurricane Erin would not make a direct impact on the East Coast, a lot of people kind of just forgot that story. But I'm telling you, if you live on the East Coast, anywhere from Florida to New England, you're paying attention right now. Hurricane Erin at this moment, they say.
Is it Irwin or Erin?
I say Erin, but it could be Erin. The hurricane that we are talking about. All right. It's about 400 miles southeast of North Carolina's Cape Hatteras. And the storm surge on the Outer Banks, they're now saying could reach waves of up to 15 feet.
Wow.
Mandatory evacuations have been ordered already on Hatteras and some of the islands out there, and more than 2,000 people have already left the area since Monday. North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein is warning coastal residents to be prepared to evacuate and declared a state of emergency already. Bulldozers are trying to shore up the dunes, and trucks from the Lower Power Company were on hand to respond to down wires. Now, I mentioned all the way up to New England. New York City has closed its beaches to swimming today and tomorrow. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has ordered 3 state beaches on Long Island to prohibit swimming through Thursday. The big concern in all of this has to do with riptides, and very, very dangerous. A lot of people they go to the beach, they see the big waves. This is going to be fun. We're going to jump in. They have a surfboard, all of those things. No, do not do that.
Because you can't see the riptides. That's what makes them so dangerous.
Yeah, and people, if they get caught up in these things, they panic.
Right.
There are ways to deal with them, but most swimmers, they don't know how to do that. So this, folks, is very dangerous.
Let me ask you this: when they mention 20-foot waves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does that mean when the waves hit the beach, they're coming in at 20 feet? Or does that mean somewhere out in the ocean they're 20 feet?
Well, somewhere, I would do a compromise on that. Somewhere near the shore they can reach. Because waves build, if you go to the beach, waves build as it gets into shallow water.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes up.
I think in terms of a storm, they're talking about the danger posed by the size of the waves when they reach shore. Now, I don't know how far inland it travels at 15 or 20 feet, but I saw some video here just a second ago, a few minutes ago, where they're talking about it maybe swallowing houses that are on the beach.
Yep.
Because it pulls back. It not only can knock these things over, but then drag them.
That's why I don't have a beach house right there.
That's reason number 14.
Yeah.
But
That's why you rent and go home and leave it there for somebody else.
That's true.
Yep.
That's true. By the way, the hurricane's name is Erin.
Erin?
Erin.
Okay.
But,
we've got to let Fred have some leeway on Canadian pronunciation.
But
that's
it's
really noted.
But it's pronounced how? How's it pronounced?
Erin.
Erin.
Unless you're
okay.
legal alien from up north. By the way, I'm looking at our own website, American Family News, AFN.net. The story we have posted there, it says it has become an unusually large and deceptive storm because, like you said, a lot of people were just kind of, okay, that must have gone by at some point, but now it's actually coming in and it is growing in size and it's stretching 265 miles from its core. So, boy, and they expect it to grow larger in size as it moves through the Atlantic.
Because the reason I asked that question, that makes a big difference. I mean, a 20-foot wall of water, a wave, if waves are coming into the landfall, to the shoreline at 20 feet, I mean, that's a tidal wave, right? Almost. I mean, so that's like a tsunami almost coming in. If it's coming in that high when it hits the beach.
Yeah, and I don't know like how far inland it goes. I'm sure that size diminishes as it hits the shore.
Yeah,
it starts to collapse.
Anyway, bad day for swimming.
It is, you know, for folks that were planning a late summer vacation visit to the East Coast.
Right,
going to be very disappointing.
Yeah. When's this expected to pass?
Well, they're already the National Weather Service this morning saying life-threatening surf and 100-mile-per-hour winds will lash the East Coast. That's starting today in the southern part.
Okay, the map I'm looking at and the trajectory here, it's looking by about Friday morning, though, should be as far as it cleared.
As far as in the south. But the warnings are continuing on out into Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, the article I was referring to on AFN.net, it says that the storm will reach Massachusetts later this week. So Friday makes sense.
Well, we are near the end of August. We haven't had a hurricane.
And this is just a tropical storm, right? Or is it?
No, it's a hurricane.
It's a
Cat 2. Yeah.
Right. But it's way out there. I'm talking about a hurricane come in and to the Gulf of Mexico and hit Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, or Florida, something like that. We haven't had one of those.
Well, I'm shocked because I thought climate change meant we were going to get hurricane
That's what they say every year, and one year they're going to be right.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
True.
One year, I remember 5 years ago, they were going, mega storms are going to just come in wave after wave.
And we didn't have one.
We didn't have one. So anyway, next story, Fred.
Well, just before coming into the studio here, Fox was reporting on a poll this morning taken of Ukrainians, and the will to continue this war amongst Ukrainians has plummeted dramatically. And that's interesting timing on this poll, given everything that we've been talking about, the Alaska meeting last Friday, the meeting on Monday of these European leaders, because has been reported that Putin has continued his attack against the Ukrainians. All of this while NATO leaders have been meeting to talk about this supposed security area that they would be willing to man if there is an end to this war anytime soon. Trump apparently is still trying to put together a meeting between Zelensky, the Ukrainian leader, and Vladimir Putin. That is still going on. So we're not hearing reporting about exactly where things are as far as negotiations go at this hour. But Rebecca Heinrich is a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute. She's also the director of the Keystone Defense Initiative. And she was interviewed on Fox this morning. And she says President Trump is a believer in peace comes through strength. And he is going to try to push through this. Cut number 14.
Well, they're flexing as the United States prepares and leads this coalition of the willing to come up with real defense plans. Remember, the security commitments that the United States and European allies provide Ukraine cannot be symbolic. This is not Ukraine's first rodeo when it comes to security commitments. We've got that 1994 Budapest agreement where Russia promised not to invade Ukraine, and the UK and the US were supposed to come to its help if it was. And so there has to be concrete forces. There has to be European forces in Ukraine. And the United States is the glue, Brian. We are the ones that Russia fears. And so the United States has to have a no-kidding military security commitment to Ukraine. So Russia's going to have bluster. They're going to oppose this. But if we want peace, this is how you get it. Peace through strength, not through capitulation or going backward.
Okay, I don't know what she's talking about. Strength.
You're talking about the 94?
No, I know that's out the window.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about... with all due respect, I'm not saying she's obviously very smart. She's a senior fellow?
Yes, at the Hudson.
Fellow means professor-like, right? Am I right?
Yes.
That's what that term means. Anyway, so she is talking there by me saying I don't know what she's talking about. We, the United States, are not going to go to war with Russia over the Ukraine. So... we're not going to make that kind of. I don't think we're not going to make the kind of commitment she's talking about, where we say, if Russia doesn't do so and so, we, the United States, will enter this war on behalf of Ukraine. And furthermore, this is just my looking at this. I think Vladimir Putin. That's not really all he cares about. Otherwise, other than that, he's going to. It's going to continue. He's going to continue the war in Ukraine until he takes over the country if he can. That's my take on this. I don't. If Vladimir Putin was going to agree to a peace agreement, he would have done so by now. How many phone calls and meetings? Well, they've only had one meeting, but do you have to say stop killing people in Ukraine and let's work out a peace deal? Go ahead.
I think you're exactly right. I think he would have taken all of Ukraine if he had been able to.
Right.
And the Ukrainians put up a more stubborn resistance than he expected. Russia has, in a sense, they've taken land, but they've taken a beating while they've done it.
Yeah.
And so
a lot of dead bodies out there.
A lot of dead bodies, a lot of injured people, a lot of military members. I think 1 million on the side of Russia.
Imagine
1 million. Now they have 140 million in their country, but that's 1 million people that are either not coming home or coming home injured. So I think it's clear he would have taken all of Ukraine if he could. I think he's probably angry that he couldn't. There are a lot of people who are surprised that Russia's military was not capable of taking Ukraine.
Right.
So there's a little bit of pride, involved here. But now what was her name? This lady who we just heard from?
I'm not familiar with her.
Senior
Rebecca,
fella.
Yeah.
Senior fella.
Rebecca,
safe, right?
Rebecca
Safe, just
Heinrich.
go with that.
Okay. So she did make, the point that, Russia is not, that they're continuing to hit Ukraine. Yes. She considers that bluster. Maybe it is. I don't know. But it to me, it's psychotic behavior. Putin is not only a dictator. He's savage. Because this latest round of attacks, this was in a residential area.
Right.
And that's psychotic behavior. And
that's not the sign of a man who wants peace.
Right.
And wants a war to end.
Yeah.
So
y'all want to know what I think?
Yeah, we do.
I do.
Lay it out there.
I'm gonna clear my.
Are you a senior fella?
No, I'm not. I'm far from.
You're a
senior
junior fella?
Not a junior fella either.
We know you're a fella. That's right.
You're a good fella.
I got through in 5 years in a 4-year degree. Okay.
I understand. So let us have it.
All right. Next story.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I think about it.
Okay. Wesley's just not interested at all.
I'm over it. It's the same thing every day with Trump and Russia and all.
Well, it is.
It's a big story. I'm not saying
it is a big story, and there's a lot of people suffering.
Yes. I'm more so referring to I'm over. Is Trump going to influence to make a deal or not? Is he going to make a deal or not?
Yeah.
Is he going to make a deal or not?
And we definitely know you're opposed to U.S. military.
100%.
I think we all are, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think Putin knows that,
yes.
and so we're not going to get into it with Russia. If Russia wants to take Ukraine, then I think the view of most Americans is, I'm sorry that's the case, but they'll have to fight that out themselves.
And I would say this, that he's out of places he can take without Putin, without going to war with NATO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's hedged in. Now, Belarus is another country that's quote-unquote unaffiliated, but they are mostly pro-Russian.
Yeah.
So, but Ukraine is it. There's nowhere else for him to go. Putin, I'm talking about. Next country he tries to pick is a NATO country.
Yeah.
And he would have war with the U.S.
Are you surprised that Trump hadn't come up with a nickname for Putin yet, though? Is that surprising to you?
No, because President Trump has shown, and you're going to laugh at this.
For Zelensky,
you're going to laugh at this, Tim. He has shown restraint on occasion, okay, when he thinks a deal is still possible. Now, if these collapse, these talks, and Putin doesn't want to meet with Zelensky, he may come up with a nickname. But right now, he knows that he's got to try to play a little. He's got to play a little nice with Putin to try to get.
All right, you're listening to today's issues on American Family Radio. Thanks for listening to the program. Tim, Ed, Fred, and Wesley. Next story, Fred.
Well, it's a fight of another type, and this fight is over the legitimacy of COVID vaccines. And the fight right now is between.
Now we're talking.
Well, you look around the room, Fred.
Wesley perked up.
Well, the fight right now, and has become very open as of yesterday, is between the Centers for Disease Control, which has backed off dramatically from recommending COVID vaccines, especially for young kids. Well, yesterday, the American Academy of Pediatrics officially recommended that COVID vaccines for children as young as 6 months, which totally goes against where the CDC is right now. And
wait, excuse me just a minute. We have two organizations you're talking about. The CDC, everybody knows.
The federal government.
Yeah, the Centers for Disease Control.
Yes.
Why do I want to say in Atlanta? Because,
Well, it is based in Atlanta.
But that's what they always introduce it as, right?
Yeah.
The news media. The Centers for Today, the Centers for Disease Control.
And Prevention.
In Atlanta.
Yeah.
In Atlanta. Anyway, so you got the CDC, and then, but what's the second organization?
The American Academy of Pediatrics.
Okay, that's for Doctors for Kids.
Yes.
Yes, but one of them's government funded and the other one's not.
That is correct.
It's a professional organization.
That's right.
Okay, what did the American Association of Pediatrics.
American Academy of
Pediatrics. What did they say?
Yesterday, they're recommending the COVID vaccine for children as young as 6 months old.
That seems...
You got to follow them.
You get it.
It gets emotional.
I do get emotional. You got to follow the science. You got one scientific organization says give the shot to the kids, and another one saying no. So how are we supposed to follow the science?
6 months old.
Yes. That's what they're saying.
Oh, you mean cut to the chase?
Yeah,
here?
you cut right to the
cut
chase.
Right to the chase. The reason is they overproduced the number of shots, and so now it's a money mechanism, and so they're wanting to get as many shots. So, and if you scare a mother to death about her child potentially getting sick, you can make them do anything. And so you can make them give them shots at 6 months old if you tell them that they have to have this or otherwise COVID.
But for COVID.
I understand. I'm cutting to the chase.
Yeah.
Wesley, for a young man, you have become very cynical and suspicious.
Very suspicious.
Right.
Yeah.
You got many years of cynical left.
Yes, right. Yeah.
What's going on here?
But now hold on.
Yeah. You want to finish?
Well, and you don't. Well, I don't know why you're so acting that surprised, because they meaning the American Academy of Pediatrics, along with all other doctors, for years they've been mandating or having rules or guidelines that are essentially edicts that you need to get this long list of shots. So this is just one more shot that they put in there anyways. And I'm giving you plain speak here. We could have Dr. Eric's mom on, and she could give you the technical.
Basically, the pediatricians are saying that kids at that age, this is their argument, are more vulnerable than older people. That's what they're arguing.
For COVID.
Yes, for COVID.
I thought it was the opposite.
Me too.
Well, that's where the fight is.
Yeah.
That's where the fight is.
Well,
this.
Well, the problem here is that the COVID shot neither prevents you from getting COVID or
spreading
COVID.
Prevents you from spreading it.
Shredding it.
Well,
I like to shred that. I like to shred this vaccine.
Yeah. This goes okay. I'm going to quote Dr. Frank Turek.
Yeah.
Now he's not a medical. He's not a medical doctor.
Right.
Something he said years ago that I think is applicable here. He says, science doesn't say anything. Doctors do. Scientists do. Scientists do. And so when people say follow the science, this is the problem. You got follow the science. You have the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics both claiming to follow the science but coming to different conclusions. So it's important for us to recognize that scientists don't always have the answer, and sometimes you got to use your own head.
As a parent, and I am a parent, but
You're a parent of young children.
As somebody who's had children, three of them, I didn't have them. My wife did, but I was part of it. But I'm just saying that I don't think I would give my baby anything but something that's absolutely necessary.
Right.
Now everybody has to figure out what's absolutely necessary, and in my opinion.
And it would have to prevent you from getting something.
Yes. The COVID shot is not absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
For babies, not.
Not if you start looking at the side effects.
Right. We'll be back with more following the science after this short time out.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
I read a story not long ago about a lady by the name of Jenny Grossinger. The article said that she was the founder and owner of Grossinger's, a 1,200-acre, world-famous resort in the Catskills. The article told of a special problem she had in the 1940s, when the big-name entertainment she hired was beginning to draw a large non-Jewish trade. The resort had never presented entertainment on Friday night, the eve of the Jewish Sabbath. Mrs. Grossinger consulted a Talmudic scholar who told her that Sabbath Eve entertainment would be permissible as long as the resort was not owned by a member of the Jewish faith at that time. So, the article stated, every Friday she would solemnly present the deed to Grossinger's, worth about $20 million to Hans Brehens, a long-time non-Jewish employee. Brehens would then buy it for $1 and become the owner until Saturday night. On Saturday night, Mrs. Grossinger would buy the place back. You know, reading that story reminded me of Herod the Great, the ruler in Palestine at the time of the birth of Christ. Herod was not a Jew, but for political convenience he had adopted the Jewish religion. He was trying to win the favor of the Jews he ruled. Now, Herod was a stickler for Jewish law. He consistently refused to eat any pork because it was against the Jewish law. But Herod had no qualms about killing his wife, his brother-in-law, and 3 of his sons. His actions led his Caesar Augustus, to comment that he would rather be Herod's pig than Herod's son. You know, it's sad when one's religion becomes so legalistic that it misses the spirit. The Christian religion, as taught by the founder, is not one concerned with a legalistic approach, but a spiritual one. He even told a parable one day, the last half of which we've conveniently forgotten. You recall the part of the parable dealing with the prodigal son. I know you do that. But do you remember the last part of the parable? The part concerning the elder son. It was the elder son who stayed home and did all the chores. He never wasted his father's money. He did what he was supposed to do. He did it when he was supposed to do it. But he did it all in the wrong spirit. He gained little joy from it, missed completely what his father had tried to teach him. I guess there's a way to get around every rule in the Christian religion, if a person is smart enough to do so. But there's no way to get around the spirit of the religion. You can deed your property over 1 day a week if you wish, or you can avoid eating pork. But my question is, why even bother with religion at all if this is your approach? If your religion is a burden instead of a joy, then you have missed the point of it. In any religion, you may be able to stay legally clean while getting spiritually dirty. Even in this day, it is possible to swallow a camel and choke on a gnat.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
For we know that if the earthly tent we live in is destroyed, we have a building from God, an eternal house in heaven, not built by human hands. 2 Corinthians 5:1.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. We hope you're having a great day. Today's Wednesday, August the 20th. I'm Tim with Ed, Wesley, and Fred. We were talking, is Abe on yet? He is. Abraham Hamilton III joins us now. Abe is the host of the Hamilton Corner each afternoon from 5 to 6 o'clock Central Time right here on American Family Radio, and he will switch into preacher mode on that show, too. He'll go from lawyer to preacher, back to lawyer, and just a general overall nice guy, too. He'll mix that in there. Good morning, Abe.
Good morning. Good morning.
So a preacher and a lawyer went into a bar. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't have a joke. I don't know why that came to me.
Well, it is the start of untold numbers of jokes.
Yeah. So a rabbi and a priest.
Yeah.
Huh? All right. So where was it? Okay, Abe, we were talking about what I know this isn't why we asked you to be on. There's another. We want to deal with sanctuary cities and the constitutionality of it. But before we do so, Fred was mentioning the story about the American, what was it called?
The American Academy of Pediatrics.
Okay. The American Academy of Pediatrics, that is the professional organization of doctors, maybe nurses too, I don't know, that have to do with treating children. Okay, we all know that. That's what pediatrics means. They're recommending that that babies get the COVID shot, okay? Have we got that right, Fred?
As young as 6 months old.
Yeah, get the COVID shot. Now, do you know if they say they recommend it or they say it's safe to give?
No, the wording being used is recommending.
Recommended. Okay. So we were talking about the value or non-value of that before the break. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to ask you, Abe, because and Ed and I were talking about this off the air. A lot of these professional organizations that represent various industries or jobs or professions, they've all gone woke. I said they've all gone woke. Many of them have gone woke. By woke, I mean they're very liberal, and they're not necessarily representative of the rank and file in that particular profession. For example, Ed, we were talking about the American Psychological Association.
We were talking, this is during the break, the American Psychiatric Association and the American Psychological Association, they both go by APA.
Right.
But in 1973, the American Psychiatric Association met, I think, their yearly conference or convention, and they were essentially taken over by gay activists who demanded that in the official classification of mental illnesses, which is called the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or the DSM, they insisted that the DSM stop citing homosexuality as a mental illness. They took over panels, they made speeches, they tried to shame the members of the APA, and overnight the APA decided to change their classification of homosexuality as a mental illness. In other words, it wasn't based on science. It was based on the shame that these activists brought to the APA and the accusation that the APA was harming the mental health of homosexuals. So when we hear we got to follow the science and, you got to follow the experts, they are subject to political pressure and cultural pressure. And so the American Psychiatric Association changed the quote-unquote science overnight, essentially, because of political and cultural pressure.
Yeah. So comment on this, if you would, Abe.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. My undergrad minor is in psychology. The DSM is basically the standard professional treatise that's used to diagnose mental pathologies, and Ed is absolutely right. It was not the product of learned study, experimentation, application of the scientific method. You literally had political pressure applied following cultural pressure, and the professional organization yielded. They yielded to that. And so to say that these entities are immune from this type of outsized, externalized pressuring, that simply is not true. It simply is not accurate. And so I think that's what you're seeing when you see the recommendation that children as young as 6 months get the COVID shot. With the data doesn't support that, and it's not a scientific conclusion. It's a conclusion that's germinated elsewhere, and it's sad to see that. But
I see what you did there with the word germinated.
Germinated elsewhere.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your thought, and then we want to talk about.
I was just simply saying that the net result of that is you have more and more of the American citizenry that is distrusting when it comes to these professional organizations and these public recommendations, which negatively affects the society as a whole because people don't know who or what to trust.
Okay, let's talk about the story that Fred. Go ahead and set the stage for us.
Well, the Justice Department has sent letters to 30 mayors of sanctuary cities. I think most of our audience know what a sanctuary city is. Basically run by Democrats who say we're not going to let the federal government come in here and arrest people who are in the country illegally. They have sent letters to 30 mayors of sanctuary cities warning them they could be prosecuted if they continue resisting federal immigration enforcement operations. Well, yesterday, the mayor of Boston, who is a Democrat, her name is Michelle Wu, had this to say about that order coming from the Justice Department. Cut number 6.
Boston will not back down from who we are and what we stand for. We will not back away from our community that has made us the safest major city in the country and a leading example of why cities around the country make this country safer, healthier, and more prosperous for all Americans.
Okay, so the Department of Justice sends letters, Abe, to these 30 cities, probably all of them run by Democrats. And did Fred frame the issue of sanctuary cities correctly? I mean, the sanctuary. I'm not saying you didn't, Fred. I'm just saying, does that the sanctuary cities say to the federal government that we're not going to help you enforce federal immigration law? Is that what sanctuary means? I mean, how does that go?
Yeah, that basically you have these mayors who've stated exactly what you said, that they will not aid the federal government in enforcing federal immigration law. And the letter from the Department of Justice seems to indicate that it's communicating to these mayors, okay, if you're saying you're not going to help us enforce federal law, don't think you're slick enough for us not to recognize when you are actively violating federal law yourself. For example, this wasn't a mayor, but many of you, and I know you covered on TI, the story of Judge Hannah Dugan in Wisconsin, to where this is a judge in court who helped an illegal alien abscond from Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents who were in her courtroom to detain this illegal immigrant. Right. Well, she's now been removed from the bench and been criminally prosecuted under federal law. She attempted to assert that she was immune from prosecution because she was a judge, to which the federal court said, excuse me, no ma'am. Your position on the bench doesn't give you the authority to violate federal law. And what the Department of Justice is telling these sanctuary cities and these mayors, that you do not have the authority to violate federal law. And where you are found violating federal law, you too could face criminal prosecution.
All right, one other question I have, and I know a lot of people are going to go, you don't know the answer to that, Tim? Sometimes I know the answer. I know the answer to a lot of things that I don't, you know what I'm saying, that I don't talk about because I don't want to sound like I'm a know-it-all.
Right. No, we understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to hear from a know-it-all, right?
Exactly.
You're doing the part of an interviewer.
That's right. So I want to ask you this question, Abe. Why do these Democrat mayors want to protect people who are in our country illegally? Answer, please.
Well, that's a good question.
Okay.
The top line answer is they believe it is a boon to their political futures by showing themselves as being favorably disposed to illegal aliens. From their perspective, Tim, there's no one that is illegal.
Okay,
know that.
That's what I wanted to know. Yeah. From their
that's the top
from their
line.
perspective, there is no such thing as somebody who's in our country illegally.
From their perspective, based on their actions, not just what they say, but based on their actions. But the problem with that assessment is that we have this thing called the Uniform Criminal Code. We have federal law, that this is not an insult. This is not an effort to denigrate someone's character by describing them as illegal aliens. Our law describes people who enter our country illegally as illegal aliens. So it's not an insult, but you have people who are willing to violate our law if they view it as something that's politically favorable to them. And that is what the Democrat Party, by and large, has done.
Abe, have there been communities, cities in some of these blue states that have actively resisted ICE? I know there were examples earlier in the summer of people trying to stop ICE agents from apprehending people who are here illegally. Have there been cities that have gone out of their way to let illegal immigrants know that ICE was coming? And would any of those kinds of actions be chargeable under federal law?
Yes, and in particular, Los Angeles' Mayor Karen Bass, she was smacked down by the Department of Justice because she was publicly touting, this hotline. That if you see what appears to be ICE activity, you need to use this hotline so you can notify people that they're coming. And she was directly rebuked by Tom Homan, and she's since changed her tune on that and is not publicly touting that as well, because Tom Homan informed her, if you actively impede a federal law enforcement imperative, that is a felony, and you risk being arrested and prosecuted.
Yeah.
So, Abe, just a question on what Mayor Michelle Wu of Boston said the other day, that they would not cooperate. So, in order to break a federal law, does she have to, for example, hide illegal immigrants, be active involving in hiding an illegal immigrant? Can she order her police department to interfere? Is she breaking federal law if she does those type of things?
Yes, if she actively hides illegal immigrants, orders the Boston Police Department to abscond or to conceal the presence of people, things of that nature, that is where they cross the line. So if the sanctuary city does nothing other than fail to cooperate with ICE, and what that simply means is when you detain an illegal alien, that you don't call ICE and let them know I have an illegal alien here, that may not necessarily rise to the level of violating federal law. But if you're actively concealing or impeding a federal investigation, meaning that you get wind that ICE is going to investigate, for example, this Home Depot down the road, and you actively impede that investigation by notifying people or interrupting that investigation, and that very well could rise to the level of a federal felony.
All right, here's Wesley. So my question would be, what about the sanctuary cities? Can they be held accountable, or is there a consequence, or can they be sued in the event that an illegal alien commits a crime and harms an American citizen?
Yes, well, you have the Lake and Riley Act that has now been passed. That's law.
Okay.
So if you have any sanctuary municipality that violates the Lake and Riley Act, that is punishable criminally. In addition to that, one of the biggest sticks, if you will, that the federal government has is the ability to review expenditures to municipalities that declare themselves to be sanctuary cities. For example, you had previous administration's federal allegations to entities like Planned Parenthood, but President Trump put a stop on that via executive action to review whether or not Planned Parenthood and others were complying with federal law before they could receive those funds. Now, that freezing activity had been challenged in court. Ultimately, President Trump has prevailed on that point. That is something that can and should be done to entities that declare themselves sanctuary jurisdictions, that their receipt of federal allocations should be reviewable to determine whether or not they are in full compliance with federal law and every other condition necessary to receive those funds. And that's something that I think the federal government should and will look into more aggressively as the Trump administration continues.
You know, just the expression sanctuary city, people say, well, what does that mean exactly? I know what the word sanctuary means. What it means is the cities have declared that they are a sanctuary for people who are here in our country illegally from the federal government deporting them.
Yeah.
that come to our city and you don't have to worry about being deported. You can stay as an illegal alien.
Well, they can't promise that they won't be deported. They're promising, and Abe can correct me if I'm wrong, they're promising that they're not going to help the federal government. So if you get arrested or you get a ticket, you get pulled over and you don't have a driver's license and you're here illegally, or with cities that are cooperating with the federal government, they will turn those people's names into ICE. What these cities are saying is we're not doing that. We're not helping out the federal government.
I guess
is that right?
Is that right, Abe?
That is correct.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
Okay. One other thing about this, I guess I never thought I'd see the day when one of the major political parties in this country, in this case the Democrats, don't give a hoot about people pouring into our country illegally from around the world. They're all for it. And they don't believe in borders. They don't believe in immigration law. They just believe in everybody being allowed to come here from just pour in. That's what Biden did. And they're good with it.
And are doubling down.
And they'll say it out loud.
And they're doubling down.
They're doubling down. And that is shocking. I mean, I remember Bill Clinton, when he was president, talking about we need to crack down on people coming into our country illegally through the southern border. Do y'all remember this?
Yeah.
When Bill Clinton was president, I mean, Democrats and Republicans alike always cared about law and order when it came to immigration. And now we have one of the major parties in our country. You talk about a war within. Go ahead.
Well, that's why if you look at just the numbers, that's
in the
why,
election. You mean?
No,
Okay.
if you just look at the border crossing numbers, you'll see that there was even one year where Obama's numbers were better than Trump's numbers one year, because even during the Obama administration, they cared about the border.
Right.
I say cared about. At least they did
They
something about it.
They enforced the law.
They enforced the law.
Yeah.
At the border, it was during the 4 years during the Biden administration is when you had the invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still millions and millions came in, and they knew they could come here unabated. So, do you want to comment on that, Abe? Why is it that why is it the Democrats have been taken over by people who don't believe in borders at all? I mean, where does this idea come from?
Yeah, that is a legitimate question. And the unfortunate reality is this, that you guys will recall America used to have a Communist Party USA. Over time, however, the people who formerly were advocates of and passionately committed to the Communist Party, simply put, they merged into the Democrat Party. And over time, they have overrun that party because you remember the day there used to be a blue dog Democrat.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just one or two. It used to have a lot more of that. But they have moved away from, historical classic liberalism along the lines of a JFK. They've moved full on to a progressive party that a touchstone of, frankly, the Marxist agenda is a borderless world. The workers of the world unite. So efforts that destroy, that mitigate, minimize, and reduce the significance of individual nations, national sovereignty, that opposes globalism, frankly, it's going to find opposition from the Democrat Party. And that's what you're seeing playing out. Now, whether or not they admit that in this description, probably not. But their actions reveal that this is what they're moving toward.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, Abe, what do you got coming up this afternoon on the Hamilton Corner?
I want to talk a little bit about kind of the fallout from the Trump, Putin, Trump, Zelensky, world leaders kind of phenomenon, and to see and to kind of peer into where we could be headed on the global stage on that front, as well as a couple other things that I want to keep in my back pocket to give you a little bit of suspense.
All right. Thank you.
Like a good show, though.
Yeah, thank you. All right, Abe, take care. See you.
All righty. Thank you.
Okay, that's Abraham Hamilton III, host of the Hamilton Corner.
We've got
Good afternoon.
I was going to add once he finished, it has nothing to do with this, but I have a good friend listening to us through the app, and they just wanted to remind everybody you can download the AFR app and listen to us anytime. I think I mentioned that at the beginning as far as downloading the AFR app from the website, but you could also go to any of the app stores. And
Yeah, a lot of people who get our radio stations, American Family Radio, they get it off the tower on their FM signal.
Right.
But then if they leave that, they go into depression. You know what I'm saying? And they
want stations everywhere.
They won't, and then they figure out the app, the AFR app. And
problem solved.
And it's like having a station anywhere you go.
Yeah, very good ad there.
right.
Go clip that up right there.
Yeah.
Big story, Fred.
Well, let's go to Texas.
All right. Barbecue. I'm thinking.
Well, we know that the Democrats who fled Texas back a few weeks ago because they wanted to deny the Republicans who have the majority membership there in the Texas legislature, wanted to deny them a quorum so they could vote on these redistricting plans. So these Democrats came back Sunday. They were back in the legislature on Monday. And what the Republicans did was, all right, you Democrats are back here now. We're going to vote on this redistricting today, Wednesday. Now, if you want to go home or you want to go shopping, Democrats, you have to sign a permission slip. And you will be assigned a plainclothes police officer to escort you around
To make
Austin
sure you don't take off again.
and make sure you don't take off again. Well, there was at least one Democrat who decided, it's unconstitutional to make me sign a permission slip. So she has stayed the last couple of nights in the legislature. Others were, like I say, escorted to their offices. I think some were escorted to a grocery store and all of this sort of thing. Well, anyway, they are back in the legislature there in Texas this morning, and we are told that they will vote on this redistricting plan. But obviously, many Democrats are upset over being treated this way, having to sign permission slips in order to leave the legislature, et cetera, et cetera. Many people think they brought it on themselves by fleeing to other states. But it looks like this redistricting plan is going to be voted on. It will go ahead. It will give Republicans 5 extra districts in Texas.
Well,
Ed, how does this story move you?
You know what? Honestly, what I was thinking, this is not probably as good a comment as I thought it was when it hit my head.
Right.
Is Texas has the reputation. You remember the Alamo? Okay. Now I watched both versions of the Alamo, the John Wayne version, and then the more updated version of it. It just was kind of a wild hair. I thought, remember the Alamo, and that's what Texas is known for. Is for even against unbelievable odds, you stay in the fight. Well, not these Democrats. They fled. Mm-hmm. They fled the Alamo, when Santa Ana wasn't even in sight. And I don't know how you're not disappointed. You obviously you're going to lose this vote. But you're going to lose this vote no matter what. But why don't these Democrats stay in the legislature, take their beating, like Republicans have to?
Make their case.
Make their case. Yeah. That's what Republicans have to do in Illinois and California.
Right. They
have to stay. They have to. You're going to lose because the odds are overwhelming. But no, they ran.
Listen.
They ran from the fight, and to me, it's an act of cowardice. It is an act of irresponsibility. They got elected to show up at the State House and represent their district, and just because you're in the minority as a party in Texas, you stay and you do your duty, but not these Democrats. Listen, it's painful to hear that the state of Texas has to assign a plainclothes police officer to make sure that you as a legislator comes to work.
Yeah. And the fact that the irony here is they fled to Illinois. And right. Chicago. Didn't they go to Chicago?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I don't think any of them were carjacked while they were there, but it could have happened very easily.
Yeah.
In Chicago, which is not representative of the whole state of Illinois.
Right.
Because
we have listeners.
Anytime you meet somebody from Illinois, what do they say, Wesley?
I went to Cairo, Illinois, very tip of the
Southern
bottom.
Illinois,
and we had an AFA event there, and the first person that got there about a half hour early, and the first thing that they said when they shook my hand was, "I want to let you know that we don't have anything to do with Chicago."
Yes.
Well, they went to Chicago, and but Illinois. Look at Illinois' congressional map. It looks like a jigsaw puzzle.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. All these states, to a certain extent, do gerrymandering or redistricting. I think Illinois. I think I got Illinois is 40% of the state's Republican.
Yeah. They voted that
only like 20% of their districts are Republican.
I think it's like 12%.
12%, maybe. Yeah. So I mean. All these states do a lot of redistricting to favor their political party that's in control. We'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Sometimes being an insider means you understand the joke that only certain ones really know. Other times, it gets you into exclusive places. As an AFA insider, you'll get information about issues and policies that can dramatically impact our families and our Christian rights, and you won't have to travel to D.C. or even dress up to get it. Find out more and sign up at afa.net/activism.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. The state of emergency has been declared in North Carolina as Hurricane Erin whips up huge waves and life-threatening rip currents. Mike Seidel has the latest from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina.
The sun is still out, but we've got the wind picking up, and Erin is making its move up the eastern seaboard. We've got warnings, advisories for big surf, 15 to 20 footers here, rip currents all the way from Florida to Cape Cod, Massachusetts. That's about 1,200 miles. The worst of the weather here will be later tonight through Thursday night. Most of the beaches along the eastern seaboard have been closed to swimmers, including here. We've got the double red flag, so they don't want anybody in the water. It's just too dangerous. The biggest impact will be on the beaches. They will be decimated with beach erosion. Winds could gust here as high as 50 miles an hour. Inland, very little, if any, impact. A bit of a breeze if you go 10 or 20 miles inland. But we're going to watch the beach, and hopefully we don't lose too much of it.
A federal court put the brakes on a copper mining project backed by the Trump administration.
President Trump says a ruling from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is affecting 3,800 jobs and the country's need for copper. A 3-judge panel is temporarily blocking federal officials from transferring land in Arizona needed by Rio Tinto and BHP to develop a copper mining project. On Truth Social, President Trump promises an immediate appeal and says radical left activists are behind the decision. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A ceasefire and hostage release proposal may be on the table between Israel and Hamas terrorists. Robert Thornton has more.
Hamas has reportedly dropped much of their previous demands as those demands prevented any possibility of a deal. This as Israel is still advancing its plan to take over Gaza City. Dr. A.J. Nolte of Regent University made these comments on Washington Watch.
I think the main thing to keep in mind is always what are Hamas's core interests? And you know, there's obviously one of their imperatives is always to try to cause as much pain for Israel as possible and to bring the fight to Israel. But ultimately, to do that, they have to survive. And so what Netanyahu is basically threatening to do here is to go into a part of Gaza that they've never been into before. But there's also a part of Gaza that Hamas controls absolutely, which is Gaza City. And so Hamas is interested at a minimum in delaying that.
He said he thinks Hamas may release some of the hostages, but does not think it will be the deal that gets all of the hostages released.
I think realistically, I don't expect that. I don't think the Israelis expect that. I think they may be able to get some of them out. And then the question is, are there concessions that Hamas is still going to ask for beyond just delaying Israel's attack on Gaza City? But it may also be that Israel's attack on Gaza City is sufficient. I think it's absolutely a stall tactic. I think we know it. I think Israel knows it.
I'm Robert Thornton.
People want to go to Israel and experience the Bible firsthand, but is it safe? Chris Woodward went to Israel to find out.
Our group has visited cities and sites including Tel Aviv, Joppa, Caesarea, and Tiberias, right on the Sea of Galilee. Restaurants are open, stores are selling their wares, and families are walking up and down the streets. Taimur Mansour works for Israel's Ministry of Tourism. He told AFN that many things in the news make it appear as though this is a dangerous time to be in Israel, but Mansour said that's not true.
Israel is safe. People are outside. People, even though they've been through difficult times, the resilience of the people of Israel, the resilience and their faith and their understanding that this is their land and the only place that they can live with in safely, makes them continue with their lives. They still, they go out, they buy, they go to movies.
A cause for concern in Israel involves the October 7th terrorist attack by Hamas. Then there was the more recent airstrikes from Iran. Mansour said that Israel and its security forces prioritize keeping everyone safe, and not just Israelis, but tourists as well.
Always tell people, come because it's land of the Bible, come to experience the Bible, but also come now because Israel always loves and welcomes its friends, especially those who come to share and see how people live here.
Reporting from Israel for AFN, I'm Chris Woodward.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
I'll do some stand-up comedy, Abe will do some preaching, and I'm really excited about it. The Weekend with AFA is a chance for our supporters to get better acquainted with the people and ministry you're supporting.
It's a Weekend with AFA, Thursday, October 2nd through Saturday, October 4th in Tupelo, Mississippi. Speakers will include Abraham Hamilton III, Jenna Ellis, Tim Barton, Tim Wildmon, and more. Register at afa.net/weekend. That's afa.net/weekend.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Everybody to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening. We got 24 and a half more minutes of I don't know, just stellar radio coming your way, right, Ed?
Absolutely. I was laughing at something else that I
were
remember
you?
that was funny.
You weren't laughing at me calling.
I wasn't laughing at you calling us stellar.
No, better than being interstellar. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And I got to stop that expression right there. I need to start counting. Some fella emailed us the other day.
And said what?
He said, if I had I think he said, basically he's saying, if I had a dime for every time Tim said, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
He'd be a rich man.
Well, in fairness to Tim, to our listener who emailed or texted you or whatever he did.
He emailed Jonathan.
Okay.
And
here's what I want to say. This is going to sound, I don't mean this to sound ugly. I don't mean this in an ugly way.
Right, no.
But until you've been on the radio and have been told talk for an hour and a half and then you don't repeat yourself, I will applaud you. But it's very difficult. I as a preacher, as a pastor, I preach a couple, 2-3 times a week. Yeah, sometimes you have fillers, and they're difficult to knock out of your habits. You know what I'm
saying?
Yeah.
You also too, people got to remember there's new listeners every day.
Right.
So you get
they haven't become annoyed by me yet.
Right. Exactly. It's coming, but it's not there yet. So you
give them time.
Give
me time to annoy them.
Yes.
That's right.
Parrish Alford's in with us. Good morning, Brother Parrish.
Tim, how are you, man?
Hey,
Doing good?
Can I just say,
yes, please do.
Parrish is sitting in for Steve Paisley Jordahl, who's in the Middle East, who's in Israel.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. He's in Alaska.
That's Alaska.
He's in Alaska.
Middle East.
That's right. I got the JJ and Chris.
One's a very serious trip, and one is not.
Yeah, that's right. But the point I was trying to make, you guys are starting to annoy me now, is that we're going to call Parrish one tone.
There you go.
Single color.
Single color.
So it's Steve Paisley Jordahl and now Parrish. Single color Alford.
Rocking the red shirt.
Might change the color sometime, but
yes,
that's right.
But a solid,
right.
Solid can be expected though,
because he's a solid guy.
He's a solid fella.
Yeah. Right. You have a shirt of color.
Yes,
so that's the main thing.
Yes,
and you are associate editor
for
American
Family
News.
That though in 2025. A shirt of color.
Yes, you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying.
Now it's
that's twice.
It's Katie bar the door.
Are you going to say Katie bar the door?
I'm going to say it. Katie bar the door.
All right. So Parrish, welcome to today's Issues program.
Tim, I appreciate it, man. I'm excited to be here. Look, this is an exciting day.
It is.
I was a sports guy, Tim. You know my background in newspaper. No one has ever come to me and said, Parrish, what do you think about the news?
Well, we're gonna say it today.
Unless it was
going to ask you.
Sports news, right? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And of course, sports and especially football, is you could say you wrote in the religion section, right?
or losing
down south,
or losing your religion section.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Depending on what team you're on.
Yeah.
Anyway, a lot to cover today. So Parrish will be filling in for Steve Paisley Jordahl, who says he's in Alaska on a trip, a cruise.
Yeah, I think he hadn't got there yet. I think he was going to be in like Seattle today, and then
yeah, like I said, that's what he says. So he moved. Some people think he'll be in Las Vegas all week, but I didn't say that. I'm going to say like President Trump said.
Yeah,
I'm going to say
some people say.
Some people say.
Some people.
All right. But anyway, Parrish, you've been on staff here with us how long now?
2.5 years, Tim. It's just flying by.
And you spent how many years in the newspaper business?
Almost 40, between Louisiana a little bit, Meridian, and most of that at the Daily Journal in Tupelo.
Now, your hometown is Denham Springs?
Denham Springs, Louisiana.
That's how far from Baton Rouge?
It's like Southella to Tupelo.
Okay.
I don't know if
a lot of our listeners.
Yeah, I don't know if that helps most of our listeners.
Well, we have a national listening audience, so that doesn't help them at all.
Yeah.
So, I know you're like 10 miles from Baton Rouge.
10 miles.
Right?
Yeah, very close. Very close.
Grew up in the Baton Rouge area. What's your first story for us this morning?
First story is a park ranger has been fired after helping drape a transgender pride flag on Yosemite's El Capitan, the big mountain there. And this biological male wanted to make sure that transgenders
ranger.
felt
Park
like
ranger.
Yeah, park ranger.
Right.
Want to make sure everybody felt welcome.
Okay. So,
and that is what he said.
Yes.
Now,
when we're talking about this issue here, is it a he or a she? I want to know what they are biologically. I don't care what they call themselves.
Biologically, this is a biological male.
This is a man, a male.
Who goes by the name what? What is he?
Shannon Jocelyn is the name of this ranger who has been filed, a wildlife biologist at the park since 2021.
And decided to drape a transgendered pride flag on the side of a national monument, basically a natural monument.
And he had help. By the way, the story is
Good
confusing.
It was confusing. I was researching this, and they say the story says the pronouns are they them. Okay, and then the story goes on to say that they are considering legal action, and I thought, okay, well, who else? Who else? And I
they is a plural, right?
Yeah.
It's a plural for people.
Yeah.
But this person claims they as their pronoun.
Yes, they.
One person does.
They and them, and so you get these stories that, as Parrish is saying, that say they, and you're always going now. Who else besides this guy? Because Fox will do it. Associated Press sure does it.
Right. Just because they're conservative don't mean they won't fall for that.
Right.
But I will say this: so the National Park Service fired this ranger.
Yes. Yes.
And said you because that goes against their policy. Their rangers can't get directly involved in political messages, especially posting them on a big. That's the big. Isn't that the big mountain out there that everybody goes to see in Yosemite?
I have never been to Yosemite. It's a bucket list.
Yeah,
I'm a hiker,
me too.
An outdoors enthusiast. I would like to get there one day, and I can just imagine walking up to El Capitan and seeing that and thinking,
yeah,
man,
where's the transgendered flag?
Yeah, all this time, all this effort.
Anyway,
well, listen. This is an individual who's confused.
Yep.
We need to be, sympathetic, but we do need to stand firm on the basis of biology. But all I can say is, when it comes to this kind of confusion, sometimes I feel confused as well. And so little poem to kind of help you out here.
A poem?
Yes. Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm a schizophrenic, and so am I. Okay, so no, that's a joke from What About Bob?
Yeah, but that was
if you've ever seen the movie.
I have, but I don't remember that scene.
Yeah,
that's
it's when he's talking to all the mental
movie.
health professionals.
When Richard Dreyfuss opens the door and there's Bill Murray character.
That's that's a top 5 movie for me. I didn't mean to get us off track.
That's okay. Next story.
All right. Loudoun County School District in Virginia. Tim, they just generate a lot of news.
They do?
Okay. Well,
that's in Virginia.
Yes, and they have suspended a couple of boys, a couple of biological males, for being uncomfortable with a biological female being in their locker room. This is from Not the Bee. The Babylon Bee we enjoy so much for their satire. This is their serious
counterpart,
serious news outlet there, and these guys are suspended. They face permanent dark mark on their academic records. The office has determined that the boys are responsible for sexual harassment and sex-based discrimination after being bothered by their
okay, so you got 2 teenage boys in a locker room, right?
Yes.
And a girl's in there.
Yes.
And the girl claims she's a boy.
Yes.
Have I got this right?
Mm-hmm.
And now the boys are in trouble because they complained to the administration that they're uncomfortable with a girl being in their locker room. Is that it?
Right, and this has come about in part because the girl who was in the locker room with them took video of them complaining about her.
Oh, she set them up.
Yeah.
Well, this county, Loudoun and Proudon, Virginia, they have been. You guys like that?
That was clever. Loudoun and Proudon.
They are, as Parrish said, they're always in the news because unless you're in California or anywhere on that West Coast, I guess, you can't get any more radical in the promotion of the LGBTQ agenda than Loudoun County.
Has been.
Good grief. They are all in. Now, is there a lawsuit involved here? If I were these students, I would sue. because they have a right to their feelings. If this girl or these trans individuals have a right to their feeling on the part, in the opinion of Loudoun County, why don't these boys have a right to their opinion?
Yeah, it certainly seems that it could be headed that way, but it doesn't.
This is fairly recent, right?
Yeah, this is pretty recent.
You know what? Let me add this to this whole argument about the transgendered movement. If you can't define absolutely what a male and a female is, and you can't admit to that, first of all, you don't talk to me about science, okay? Because we're talking about reality, not pretend, not how I feel. But are you born a male, or were you born a male or a female? Okay, that has been, and you know what? The airlines are complicit with this too, and a lot of organizations are, I guess. But this, you go on. I bought an airline ticket the other night, right? And you could go to any airline; they're gonna do the same thing. Well, I'm not sure if El Al did or not. I bought an El Al ticket, but that's an Israeli airline. Maybe they didn't do this the other day, but these airlines, okay, you fill out your name, you're buying a ticket, and then they get to the sex question. They say, what gender question, I should say. And you click on the box, and it says male, female, and then it gives about 2 or 3 other boxes. Okay.
Right.
Now, what's the purpose of that?
Yeah.
That's woke.
That's woke.
There is no other box that you should have. There's no other box.
Right.
There is. If you want to put on there male, female, and then a box for what I feel like I am today, if you want to put that on there. But here's what I say: they don't even put the box on there at all. Don't even ask male, female at all, because the purpose of that, I would suspect, is for a manifest for your flight in case something bad happens. Maybe the plane crashes and they have to identify people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how did this person...
Or an emergency, like if a cop was called and they said... Hey,
is it a male or female we're talking about that we need to... whatever.
Right.
But they do ask you for a reason. Otherwise, take the question off. But I'm saying if you're going to say... you can be anything you want to be.
It's not helpful.
Then don't ask the question at all because it's stupid. Am I right?
No, absolutely.
You're right. And now that was sharing your heart.
I shared my heart right there. But I mean, don't ask the question. Do you see what I'm talking about here?
No,
leave it off.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this because this transgender thing has been going on for at least a decade in terms of being out in front of, in terms of cultural issues. But we've mentioned the fact that the poor police force, if somebody identifies, if a young male identifies as a woman, and you put out an all points bulletin because this young man robbed a liquor store.
Right.
But you put out an all points bulletin and say, we're looking for a 6'2" woman because he identifies as a woman. All the cops are going to be looking for some, girl with long hair. You see where reality slaps you in the face and keeps people from doing their jobs.
Let me add this too. So I'm watching there's about a 15-second video of this story this taking place.
What Paris talking about, this Loudoun County story?
That's right. And I'm looking at it now. Obviously in the studio can't get audio, but you can see the showers in the background and you can see the facilities. I mean, I'm just saying, I know we said in the bathroom, but when you see the video, in addition to us talking about it, it makes it that much more, makes me that much more angry that this is an issue.
It's a violation of privacy too.
Right.
Well, do you guys sense?
And we are all guys, by the way.
Absolutely.
You don't need to ask. We don't have a box to check. We're males all the way, all three of us.
I did not mean to be offensive. I hope I didn't offend anyone.
I'm not offended.
We're not offended.
Is this movement losing momentum? We've had stories to this effect at AFN.net, some funding loss, some people, corporations pulling back. Do you sense
it's losing momentum except for the Minnesota Vikings cheerleaders? It's picking up momentum there.
For people who can think straight, and I don't mean that in a LGBTQ way, who think properly, it is losing momentum.
Yeah.
But for blue cities and blue states, and for blue counties like Loudoun County, it is not. It's not only not losing momentum; they are doubling down.
But there is a reaction.
One lawsuit after the other.
There is a reaction among fair-minded liberal people, like Martina Navratilova, for example. Now, I don't know that she's an American citizen, but she's the former tennis great. I mean, considered
lesbian, self-identified.
She's a lesbian. But she's against the transgender people being able to play sports. Against in other words, males playing against females because they call themselves a female. So you had J.K. Rowling,
right?
The author,
who's a liberal person.
Yeah, she's a liberal person, but she also sees the unfairness of this movement and how it's calling something. It's calling something that's not real and trying to pretend like it is real. Right. Anyway, next story.
Well, along those lines, let's go here. You mentioned the NFL cheerleaders, and we have a clip, audio cut 15, Tommy Tuberville talking about...
Who is he? Let our listeners know.
Yeah,
Tommy Tuberville. Yes, Senator Tommy Tuberville, former college football coach. They're talking to him on the Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow, an Outkick podcast, okay? Talking with him about...
just to set this up a little bit more, this is they have a situation, the Minnesota Vikings football team has...
NFL.
They have cheerleaders. Yeah. They've always been girls.
Yes.
They decided to add two boys, two at least that I saw, two boys to the cheerleading squad.
Well, they're boys. They're not men, that's for sure.
And I think
boys.
It's important here to make the distinction, as we have discussed off air. There have been male cheerleaders on college squads for years.
Yes.
And they're strong, they're athletic, and they hoist these girls, and they do all these stunts. That's not what this is.
No, this is a couple sissies.
Yes, you need to see the picture.
This is a couple sissies dancing around out there, and this is how Tommy Tuberville, the senator from Alabama, former football coach of Ole Miss and Auburn and Texas Tech and some others, this is how he reacted.
I would like to ask the ownership of the NFL and the commissioner, what are you doing? I mean, you've got the number one sport on planet Earth in terms of people watching it. Your business is growing. It's getting better and better. Now, there's some ways that you've tried to attack it over the last 10 or 15 years, but you've been able to withstand that. But if you're going to be woke, take the men out of men's sports is what they're doing. They're trying to take gender and say, okay, we're going to make it more about gender than we are about masculinity. Then you're going to have a huge problem. It's coming. And again, you can see Minnesota doing it. You know, they're one of the blue states. We've lost them. You know, they're more about socialism and all the things that go on with that. And it's about, genders. But at the end of the day, I hope it doesn't come south to Atlanta or to Texas or to Dallas or some of our NFL teams, because you'll lose it. I mean, people will actually quit buying tickets and going, because this is the narrative they're trying to push. And this is not just about a couple of people being men cheerleaders. It is about pushing a narrative that you want to put gender into sports and let everybody know that we're trying to show that, hey, we're going to take the masculinity out of it a little bit.
There's been an attack on masculinity in the culture.
Big time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely has. There's been an attack on fathers. That goes back into the 90s on sitcoms where the dad was portrayed as a buffoon. He's the stupidest one in the house. But there has been an attack on masculinity as well, where the so-called experts, we were talking about that in the earlier part of the show, these folks who claim, because they come from a scientific discipline, college professors or whatnot, that they are experts and the rest of us don't know anything, talking about toxic masculinity. And even young boys being told that they are a danger to girls and they're acting in a way that promotes toxic masculinity, and we need to drug these kids and not let boys be boys. And so what Senator Tuberville is talking about now, these are I don't know if these two men who are now cheerleaders for the Minnesota Vikings, I don't know if they're homosexual or not, but my guess is they are, and they are of the sashaying variety.
They're prancers.
They're prancers. And so this is what the senator is talking about in terms of attacking masculinity.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us, Ronald Reagan was maybe in college, I don't know, or high school. There have been well-known public figures who were male cheerleaders. And there's a part of that.
Right.
There's, somebody's got to hoist the women up so that they can, do the, YMCA.
Things you can't do.
Yes. So they're masculine men.
Right.
They're strong. They're not wearing these two guys are wearing what girls wear. And so this is gender bending and promoting gender fluidity to those who are there. Now, personally, I don't think that many people are going to avoid buying tickets because they're there to watch football. But it probably did some damage, for example, when some of these athletes were taking a knee during the national anthem. Those are the kind of things that has hurt the NFL tremendously with its fan base. I'm not sure how much this will, but it shows just how much these major corporate powers, and the NFL is a corporate power, how much they are.
And nobody wants to watch this, though.
No, I don't want to watch.
Nobody wants to watch
prancing around.
Right.
Now, they're prancers. You say you don't think
prancers.
You wouldn't call them Donner or Blitzen?
Paris,
Nice.
you're going to fit right in
I
here.
think you're going to fit right in. Absolutely.
Ed and Wesley, they're jokesters.
I think y'all said all week.
I
They're
try to
all
hold this thing
serious
together.
all the time.
Y'all said
got
all
time
weekend on this subject because my tolerance and patience are about paper thin on this.
Yes.
And
you don't want to add something?
I
We
could
probably
get
don't need
myself in
Wesley.
trouble on radio.
We don't need to unleash Wesley on these on these prancers.
Making the men and young men soft and weak and like this drives me. I mean, I flip a switch. I turn over a table or two. So why were
you exhibit toxic masculinity?
Yes.
In reaction to this. We got a minute left.
Next story.
What story you
All
got?
right, minute left. The Brits want the Super Bowl, Tim. They want the Super Bowl in London. Good or bad?
Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I would just quote George H.W. Bush, not gonna die.
Why not?
I don't think we're gonna die. We do have games in Britain every week, right?
Well, we want the whole Super Bowl to be moved
in
over
London,
there.
They don't have a team, which usually the host city has an NFL team. There's that whole time difference thing.
Oh no, we're never going to have this.
Yes,
we're never going to have the Super Bowl anywhere off the U.S. soil. I don't.
They used to be just preseason games they'd have in London,
Yeah.
but now they have started having a couple of games
Every week,
during the
some
season.
two teams play over there.
Yeah, and you could do the AFC versus NFC, All-Star type game over there, all that.
That nobody watches.
That no one watches.
They're not going to have the Super Bowl is going to stay in the U.S.
Yes.
But hey, you can't blame the Brits for trying.
Sure, that's right.
Yeah.
Give them a little credit there.
They want to bring American football, real football.
But until the Brits start calling our football,
Yes.
That's fair.
we're not going to negotiate.
And besides, who wants to go to the
Football.
Super Bowl and have to eat fish and chips and drink tea?
It's just wrong.
You need roadtail and hot dogs.
Yeah, that's right, man. Hamburgers and
All right,
soft drinks.
For more toxic masculinity, join us here tomorrow on Today's Issues.